On Saturday, I was having a conversation with my crush. Yes, I'm crushing on a small boy, too. And oh, he's not a small boy. No, 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 say that. He's not a small boy. He's not a small boy. That's actually a mistake. He's not, but he's younger than me. Different. Uh-huh. That's why I said that. But he's not a small boy. And um, the conversation quickly drifted to Acts 9. We're talking about something. Okay, we were comparing some verses, and it led to Acts 9. And the conversation reminded me of something I had discovered when I was reading the book of Acts last year. I really, really love the book so much, by the way. I've read it like twice. 2024, I read it. 2025, I read it. Because the storybook, let me just say that, because it gives a historical account of the early church and um, highlights and zooms into some key or main characters like Paul, Peter, Philip, Stephen, and those guys. So I really, really like it because of the stories, because I love stories, right? So it's easier for me to read a book like that over and over again. What I'm trying to do now is to read the Gospels because those are also historical accounts of the Lord's time on the earth. So that's what I want to go into now. But I really love the book of Acts because of the stories. And one of the stories that stood out to me when I was reading it last year was the story of Paul, particularly in Acts chapter 9. 6 talks about the deacons and the need for deacons in the church because the apostles had to concentrate on prayer in the word and all of that. So they introduced the deacons. And in Acts chapter 7, they zoom into the deacon Stephen, who was martyred. And then 8, they talk about, what's the name? Philip. In Acts 8, they talk about Philip. So Acts 9 comes, and then the story of Paul starts officially. The story of Paul actually starts in Acts 7. When they talk about Stephen, because he was the main character, that he was the watchdog over the close of Stephen, even as they stoned him to death and all of that. So he's introduced there, but then his actual story now begins in Acts 9 when he encounters the Lord on the way to Damascus and all of that. And that is where my interest is because when I was reading it last year, I don't know how I read it in 2024, but 2025 when I was reading, I found it extremely hilarious. That book, there are so many stories there. Peter's encounter with the sorcerer, Simon, the sorcerer of Samaria, and the things he was doing there. Peter's encounter with Ananias and Sapphira, and this particular account that I'm talking about. So today, I'm bringing that video from YouTube about the story of Paul and what I find extremely funny in that. And then the next video will be about Peter versus Ananias and then Simon the sorcerer of Samaria. So enjoy. Yeah. Thank my crush because he's the reason why I'm bringing these videos here. That conversation reminded me, so that's why you're seeing this video. So go and thank my crush, okay? Yeah. So I'm reading Acts chapter 9. And then I get to verse 16 and 17, 15, 16, 17, and I just couldn't but laugh. Right? So there's this guy, Saul of Tarsus, who we all know today as Apostle Paul, right? But then this was before he repented, before he got converted and added to the church, right? So he's on his way to Damascus. It's like wreaking havoc to the church and everything. He has gotten letters from the high priest. He's going to cause confusion. And on his way, he encounters Jesus, right? And then Jesus is like, oh, he's like, who are you? And then he's like, I'm Jesus. It's hard for you to kick an end to all of that. Then we get to verse 15, 16, and then Jesus having a conversation with Ananias. This is Ananias, the disciple, right? Not the husband of Sapphira, but another disciple, a man of like great authority, or in that particular town, in the company of the believers. And He tells Ananias that he should go to a particular house. He gives him the direction, the street number, the exact house to go to. And that when he goes there, he'll meet Saul of Tarsus. And when he goes there, he should lay hands on him. Should his eyes will be open and everything, and then he should pray for him and everything. And this guy, this Ananias, knowing the confusion that Saul was bringing to the camp of the Christians that day, is like, Lord, either you don't know who this guy is, right? And then the Lord Jesus is like, don't worry, I have plans for Saul, right? And he's like, paraphrasing the verse, is like, so Jesus starts with all this sweet words in 15, like, oh, go thy way and anoint him for his a chosen vessel and all of that. 16 comes and see what this guy is saying. Jesus is like, for I will show him. You can't tell me just know how Jesus said it. I was like, I will show him, alright? And he goes on to say, how great things he must suffer for my name's sake. And this guy reading it, I was just laughing so much because it's like Jesus sees that this guy, you cause confusion, you disturb me, and you think you can go scot-free. I'll just pick the chief amongst them, right? So he goes to pick Saul, the chief confusionist or the chief havoc wrecker, and he's like, guy, come and let me show you something. But Jesus doesn't waste suffering, right? He's like, come and let me show you something. But even in my showing you, your suffering will still benefit me. You see, your suffering will benefit me. I will not just let you suffer. No, and it will go to waste. Never. Your suffering will benefit me, right? And it will benefit my kingdom. So he asked him to the company of the believers. And then come see something. I will show you. And then he goes on. He asked the guy, and then when you go to 19, right? No, 17. Saul now is this guy, Ananias having this context. After Jesus has told him this, he's now, he has calmed down. And when he meets Saul, he's like, brother Saul. You know, you're mischievous, you know, like something that is coming up, right? And this thing that this suffering that Paul is coming to endure is the people that know Jesus knows. Ananias, whom Jesus has just told, knows. And then Saul, whom Jesus will also reveal the suffering to, will be the third person. So it's like a three-way conversation, and each of them, they all have and you see one of the reasons why I celebrate Paul or Saul as of then is that in the verse 19, despite knowing the suffering that he's coming to suffer, alright, it's like, brother, I can't come and kill myself. This Jesus has meant me. He has meant me, right? And this suffering, I must go through it. So you know what I'll do first? I will eat, and that's why in this life, no matter what it is you are going through, no matter what it is that life may be punching at you and everything, my brother, eat, sister, eat. So be like Saul. You see, be like Saul, because in 19 it says, and when he had received meat, he was strengthened. I was like, please, I'm coming to suffer already. Please bring me the chicken, bring me the goat's meat. He takes that, he's strengthened, and then from 20 he goes on and he starts preaching. So these verses really stood out to me because I laughed so much. I laughed so much because it was just funny to me how Jesus said he will show him. Because you can't tell me that's not how Jesus said it. He said he will show him, right? And in this, I see that Jesus indeed is the ultimate self-centered guy. He's the ultimate self-centered guy, because you can't cause confusion in my camp and then you go scot-free. No, I will punish you. But even in your punishment, it will still benefit me. Even in your punishment, it will still benefit my kingdom. So this is your lesson today. Don't let the suffering of your enemies go to waste. Maximize it. Let it benefit you. You know, if you like, don't be like Jesus.